Oh, whoops. Can you hear me now? Sorry. It's like I have a on-off button on the mic itself, and sometimes I turn it off. Yeah. Oh, cool. So is Chuck? No. That's how I got his email. That's why I put his email in the Slack. Yeah. Oh, that's fine. No. Mm-mm. Oh shoot. Huh. Oh well. No, I told him, like, let's see. Oh, well, shoot, that's on Facebook. But yeah, I told him, are you on for, are you in for 3:30 on Sunday? And he said, sure. Oh, I know. Oh, wait. So did anyone else join in for your, to interview Tom King? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's fine. All right. Yeah. Let's see. Huh. Wait a second. Huh. Oh, interesting. Oh, wait. Are we not live? Good. Yeah, well, I see you. I see your video. Uh-oh. I just see a lock screen. Yeah, I see a little lock in the upper left for some reason. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah? Yeah, OBS does that too. Not yet. I usually wait. Hang on, let me go live on that. Alright. And according to this, it's starting to send data. There we go. 0 viewers. Exactly what I told him was if you wanted me to live stream, to send me an email so Chris can send you a Zoom link Sunday. Oh, whoops, hang on.
This archaeology. Get out of there, Dan!
My mic is back on. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to You Call This Archaeology Podcast, episode 84. Corona edition episode, I don't know, 8? Actually, I don't think so. I hope not. Although it feels like maybe we have. True. Especially now that people don't seem to be taking the safety precautions as seriously ish. Oh, whoops, hang on. I actually muted you for a sec. You should be coming through now, or at least in 30 seconds from now.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. I can read you now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right then. Well, as Richie said, yeah, welcome. So I'm looking at two different screens here, so you see me looking off screen here at the live screen, so I can pay attention to what's going on here.
Yeah.
But Richie's also got this super cool. I just saw my comment come through. Richie's got this super cool comment stream coming through from several different sources, so that's kind of neat. Yeah.
And it worked great last week.
Yeah, it really did. It really did. I liked it. They were all from Facebook. It'd be nice to get some of those. If anybody's watching on YouTube or Twitch, hey, comment, because we're coming. The comments are coming through on the stream and coming through into the same stream. So that's pretty cool. You know what? I'm also seeing live captions on Facebook.
Wait, really? Wait,
yes,
what do you mean?
I've literally never seen. Well, I've got the video up here, and I clicked it so it's not just playing in a feed, so it's coming up so I can watch it.
Yeah.
And then I've got the comments where I can make on the side, but underneath the video, everything I'm saying is being captioned and displayed on the bottom.
Wait, really?
Outside the video.
Wow,
yeah, that's insane.
Interesting. Maybe that's a new update, because YouTube does that too, or can if you want. I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't think we have a choice to turn it on or off because it's just on. So, yeah, I mean, it's cool seeing it. It's going really fast though. You'd have to be a pretty quick reader to follow that, because it's only displaying about 5-6 words at a time in only two lines. So it's going pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, before.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna see. Did you check out that Facebook posting on? God, I always forget which group it is. The one where someone was asking for apps, and for the first time, unsolicited, people are mentioning WildNote.
Really? No, I actually didn't see that. I kind of went dark this weekend on a lot of social media stuff, but I'll have to check that out. That's really cool that it's making some traction.
Yeah, it's like by 10 years from now, archaeologists will be where everyone is today, as far as technology goes.
This is one thing I've told I've told WildNote, the people at WildNote, as far as the importance of going to conferences and stuff, is because WildNote right now has made the business decision, while we're continuing to obviously support archaeology.
Yeah.
Active sales in archaeology have kind of fallen off just a little bit, because we're in a rapid growth period as far as trying to get the app stable. The app is stable, but obviously every application needs to become more stable through time as you add features. So, and we've added a ton of cool features this year, even just some in the last few weeks that I'm just kind of playing with, and they're really super cool. They make it really easy to edit data, to manage your locations, and for archaeologists that means site numbers, stuff like that. Anyway, this isn't a discussion about WildNote, but my point is, I've told them that even if we're gonna back off active progress on sales for WildNote, that just means that doesn't mean that we're still not selling it. We're not. If somebody comes to us and says, "Hey, I want to use WildNote," obviously we're going to work with them and do what we can.
Yeah.
But I'm not making cold calls or anything like that, saying, "Hey, come check out this software." So, but the thing is, I told him, I said, it's still important to get the message out there. Still important to go to conferences when they start back up and things like that, because I just had somebody who I've met, I think, once or twice at a conference. She's been a guest on other podcasts on the APN, but I know her on Facebook mostly. And I remember she works for a company in Southern California, and I had talked to her a couple of years ago about WildNote, just because that company's a decent size, and they do a lot of work. And I told her, I said, "Hey, do you want to have a quick demo about WildNote? You can bring other people in." And she basically said, "It's cool and all, thanks, but this company will never go digital." So I'm like, yeah, okay, I hear that. I literally hear that all the time. So I'm not offended, whatever, it is what it is. But then I get a Facebook message last week that says, "Hey, we've got a project coming up that we're going to need WildNote on. Can we talk?"
Wow.
I'm like, that's why we stay visible, because when you are ready, when you are prepared to do this, you know who to contact, and that's why people have swag too. So you can hand it out at a conference. Not that you want people to have your logo all over everything, but when they're sitting there a year from now thinking of digital archaeology, going, "Man, is there an app out there I could use?" Well, yes. Matter of fact, there is. It's written right there on that coffee mug we gave you, or it's written right there on that pen or that flash drive or something like that. And it just stays top of mind, and that's why people do swag
Well, it's the reason
at
why
conferences.
it's the reason why people use oh God, use Word, even if they have a
Yeah.
Mac.
I mean, yeah, it's out there and it's well known. I mean, that's really what it is, and they stay top of mind with advertising and persistence.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, does Mac still have that word processing program? I even forget its name.
Pages has actually come a long way.
Oh, has it?
Pages isn't. How do I put this? Pages isn't nearly as fully featured as Word, and neither is Numbers, their spreadsheet equivalent. But you know what, Richie? Most of the time when you click into Word, you go to do something. What are you doing? You're just typing up a document, right? You're not doing anything super crazy. If I was going to start writing a book again,
Yeah.
I would probably do that in Word. In fact, I might start in Pages just because Pages integrates with all my devices a little better. But then when it really came down to formatting, I would switch it over to Word. And really the reason is Word has a lot better tools for like table of contents management, where you can hyperlink to different pages, things like that. And you do it automatically using the table of contents and headers features, right? So it's Pages can do that, but it's just not as good. But what Pages is it's basically it's the essentials. It's the essentials of what you would need probably 80% of the time. That 20% of time where you have to do something more special and you have to do something crazier, then go over to Word. I do the same thing with spreadsheets. If I've got to do I've got to do some really detailed spreadsheet work, then I'll go over to Excel. But if I'm just doing something quick where I just need a quick table of data or even some quick formulas or something like that, I have no problem using Numbers.
Oh, really?
No problem at all.
Instead of using the Google suite of free stuff?
Well, Google just requires me to go online and do all that stuff in a browser, and sometimes I just don't want to do everything in a browser. Browsers tend to bog down your system. I've got a lot of tabs that are saved that are sometimes open, and when you're trying to do a lot of work and you're keeping a browser like that open for a long time, it can really start to bog down your resources. So while I have no problem with Google Sheets, and I use it when it's definitely the go-to for a collaborative document.
Oh yeah.
I don't use it for personal stuff where I just need to quickly do something. So, yeah. Of course, the problem with Mac software, if you're going to share it with anybody, is
no one can open it.
Well, obviously no one can open it, but you can share Pages files as Word documents. You can even share them as older doc files and newer docx files. Same thing with Excel. You can share them as XLS files or XLSX files. But like all conversions, it's not perfect. There will be some issues with the conversion, and if I'm trying to share an Excel spreadsheet with somebody and I have to export it out of Numbers, there might be some problems with the formulas or the linking between sheets or something like that. So I'm just noticing this. I'm just noticing that the closed captioning here has it took XLS file and said X files.
Well, may as well be.
Yeah. So anyway, how you been doing the last week? Have you been outside much? I see you're getting to-go cocktails and canned on the fly beers.
Well, I mean, I haven't been intending to go anyplace. It's just every time I'm out for my bike ride, I see someplace new that's open.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to Brewer's Cabinet, which is a place here in town, I was like, they said they're open, so I stopped by. And then here's the crazy thing. I ordered my porter, and I thought he was just going to put it in a cup or something and bring it to me. I see him pouring it, and he brings me a can. And so I did not even realize that that they can can right on the spot. Like, as soon as they pour it, they can can it and give it to you.
That's crazy. That they must have a single canning machine. I don't even know how canning does. Like, how do they... I honestly don't know how canning works, like beer canning. I know how bottling works, obviously, and you can just drop the bottle cap right on there with that machine. But I don't know how you seal up how a can is sealed up. That's crazy.
Neither do I, but I just know that it kept my beer cold. Between that and the little cooler I was carrying, it managed to keep my beer cold, which was good because I was gonna drink it and record another video. But every time I went someplace, there was literally someone there.
Richie, you tell me you're just out for a bike ride, but you're carrying around a cup holder on your bike and a cooler. So I think you have another agenda.
Well, I mean, there's like, still the gas station right across the street from Brewer's Cabinet where I can get a beer and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, indeed, indeed.
Plus, I wanted to
So,
try out my new mini tripod, the one, I got. Well, I guess it's not new. It's new to me. But,
hmm
because,
yeah,
yeah, because I'm trying to, like, make sure, because I'm going to be super busy for the rest of the month. So I want to make sure I get as much as done as I can before I go, which unfortunately turned
right.
out to not be as much as I wanted, but that's always the way it is.
Yeah, speaking of recording video,
Yeah.
my wife and we released another video today on our
Oh, I saw
YouTube
that.
channel, number 11.
Yeah.
11 weeks in a row we've managed to keep it going, which I'm so glad that we did that project in March together, because it allowed us the travel to actually record a bunch of stuff that's been keeping us going for the last few weeks. And then right as things were starting to really shut down,
Yeah.
we managed to go out to we took a little day trip out to the Como mine near Carson City, actually
Oh.
closer to Dayton, Nevada. And I think
Yeah.
that's going to be our next video, because that was pretty cool. That was the one where I actually lost control of my drone and it flew into a bush and ruined one of the propellers that I had to replace.
Wait, really?
Yeah, yeah. I think I talked about that on an episode right after we did that, because it got caught in the wind and it's so light, 299 grams. It says right on the side of it. It's so light that I couldn't do anything. It got caught in a wind gust going up a canyon, and it just pushed it all the way back. I was trying to control it. What I should have done was just killed it in air, and so it dropped. But I could see it kind of, and then I could see the video for sure. But it was flying backwards from the video, and it just, as the canyon raised in elevation as it went back, the drone stayed level, so it eventually just hit the bushes as they kind of came up into it and then stopped. But they have GPS on them, and even though I didn't have a signal on my iPad that was printing a map, I could flip over to the map and see exactly where it was from a like how close am I to it standpoint. So I just kept it up and I walked straight to it. I mean, it was easy to find. But when it went into these bushes, they were like sticker bushes, and it hey, you just linked to our new episode. It was like sticker bushes, and it chewed up 2 of the props, and I got 4 extra props, so that's not a big deal. But it chewed up 2 of the props. So
wait, did you download the new firmware update
for DJI?
Yeah, for the mini. They just issued one like last week. I was seeing all the all over YouTube people were testing it out. Apparently, it gives you manual control over the cameras.
Well, you already have some manual control over the camera. I wonder what additional control it gave you, because you can flip it up and down, which is the only thing the mini camera can do anyway.
Oh no, I'm like let's see, exposure or manual exposure controls.
The other cameras have that already. It was kind of, I did notice that it didn't have because you have focus control, I think, but it didn't have exposure or anything. So that's pretty cool.
Haha. Oh, cool. Wow.
I'll have to do that. I actually haven't turned the drone on in a couple of weeks. So,
man, if you had a bigger drone, you could whatchamacallit. You could you could get your food to go or something.
I couldn't though, because these drones won't take off in my house. I'm in the I'm in the path for one of the runways of the airport. I tried turning this mini on in my house right when I turned it on, right when I got it. And it wouldn't activate.
Oh my god! Last night, speaking of drones, last night I was watching. Oh god, what was that? The latest Bad Boys movie, which was an adventure in itself, just because of how many people were there who had never been to a drive-in before, apparently. But But in one of the scenes, they had, oh god, I always forget the name of it. The original DJI, the one with the fixed legs, and it used to be white and everything.
Yeah, the Phantom.
Yeah. And basically they had it flying around the inside of this last gunfight shooting people, and I'm like, wow, how can a drone that small and that light mount like guns and all the ammunition?
Right. Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, man.
Also, Will Smith doesn't look nearly as old as I think he is. I feel like he's like I don't know what age he is, but I feel like he's pretty old. I might be wrong.
He's got to be 50 something.
Yeah.
He keeps himself in pretty good shape. So, hey, I wanted to mention, you posted our latest video that we released today, but you also released another video this week. You're on fire with your schedule. I'm going to link to that right now in the show notes.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what is it? A super beginner's guide to field clothing, I think?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I was out, God, it feels like a million years ago now, but it was only October that I was out on a survey project. And October that I recorded all these, just in case people are wondering how long in advance I record these things. But, I just noticed a whole bunch of things that people were doing that don't necessarily make life easier in the field.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Well, it's a
oh,
it's
go
a good
ahead.
concise video. I like it.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of good tips in it.
Although it's interesting, whatchamacallit. I was watching, the reason why I shared it out so late is to like, how can I put this? Is to judge the metrics as I'm going along. Because,
Mm-hmm.
because the important thing to YouTube is how many minutes people watch and the click-through rate. So basically,
Correct.
as they're scrolling through YouTube, how many people actually click on it. And I
Mm-hmm.
noticed that when I posted to Facebook, like people basically watch like a few minutes of it or a few seconds of it and then click off, and then people who were just finding it and clicking it were actually driving up my retention rate, which was interesting.
That is interesting, and I'll tell you from my own experience, not necessarily with your videos, but
Yeah,
from any YouTube video I see on Facebook, is you can't see any information about it,
yeah,
like length or anything like that. Like when you're scrolling through YouTube, usually the length of the video or something is like superimposed on the video,
yeah,
and and a lot of times, like if I'm looking for something on YouTube, like if I want to know how to do something on software or something like that,
yeah,
and I look it up, if I see a 45-minute video that's explaining the one thing that I want to know, I'm not even going to watch it because I know it's going to be 42 minutes worth of garbage and 3 minutes worth of what I actually need, right?
yeah,
But on Facebook, if I see a video that I want to click on, I might not have a lot of time right now. Maybe I'm sitting at a stoplight, and maybe I'm sitting in my couch, but I
yeah,
just my wife went down to grab a drink or something and come back, and I don't have 10 minutes to watch a video, so I'll click on it and then I'll see how long it is. I might watch a minute of it or something like that, but then I'll turn it back off and go back to scrolling and just remember it or share it or save it for later.
yeah,
But that's the problem. You almost never go back. So that's why I like to subscribe to channels, and then I go to YouTube every once in a while and check my subscriptions and see if there's any new videos that I want to see. So
yeah. Oh,
that's
that's true.
that's typically how I see your stuff,
Yeah.
because since I'm subscribed, I get a notification through email and on my phone
Oh, good.
as a push notification that there's a new video out. Yours and I think 3 or 4 others that I have push notifications set up for. I
Yeah.
get notified right when they come out. But some are predictable. Like one of them I watch, they come out every Friday. Another
Yeah.
one comes out. 2 of them come out every Sunday.
Yeah.
I think yours are what, Wednesdays or something like that.
Yeah. Wednesdays at 8. It's interesting. Since I've been watching all these van life videos, I've also been getting the boat life videos, or I don't know what you'd call it, sailing life, boat life.
Yeah. Sorry, I lost your audio there for a second.
Oh,
But I watch a lot of sailing videos and boat videos.
well, the crazy
That's what
part
you're
is
saying.
that one of the videos I almost clicked on it, but I'm not necessarily interested in sailing. But one of them was like our new boat just sank, and it was like it was a very old-looking wooden sailing boat.
Mm-hmm.
I actually
Yeah,
watched one of their
yeah, it
earlier
happens.
videos where they were like they had a much bigger boat, but then they realized they wanted to live simpler, so they bought a much smaller one, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. Well, bigger boats have other problems too. I mean, you might think you want all the space, and I've been looking at that.
Yeah.
You could get a ton of space in like a 35-foot sailboat, right?
Yeah.
But a sailboat is going to have other problems too. Like, for example, if you have to go under a bridge that's not a drawbridge,
Yeah.
you're going to have to take your mast down, and that is a pain in the ass. I mean, you're
Ooh.
going to have to just dismantle your mast and take it down. So there's those kinds of problems. So if you're like, well, I want that kind of space, but I want a power boat. So then you go up to a 45 or a 50-foot power boat,
Yeah.
which isn't really breaking the bank if you're going to live on it. It's cheaper than a house, cheaper than this house I bought here. This house was, when you want to say it in ridiculous prices, this house was $250,000, right?
Wait, really?
Actually, a little more than that. Well, it was like what do we pay? Like 260, I think, for it originally. It's down to about 250 now.
Yeah.
But it was. It looks like we're getting some signal drop out on Facebook.
Oh shoot. Well, I'm
but
watching like it's I don't know what's wrong. I don't know if it's my internet or if it's some other internet
hmm,
because it's showing green on my end, but it's also showing drop frames
yeah,
at the same time. So I'm like, well, one of them's got to be
yeah.
wrong or they're both right.
Well, either way. Anyway, tighten up the discussion on boats.
Yeah.
One of the bigger problems with a bigger power boat is, of course, is fuel consumption. You're
Ah.
going to have a 500-gallon gas tank. Just imagine how much that's going to cost to fill up, and it only gets. It's not really miles per gallon, but you're not going very fast, and you're burning
Yeah.
a ton of fuel. But the
Ooh.
other thing is dockage fees. I mean, most
Ooh.
of these docks they charge by the foot for guest dock space, and
Ah.
if you're at a slip and that's where you live, then
Yeah.
it's just like paying rent or something like that. You're just going to pay for it. But if you're cruising around like up the East Coast or something,
Yeah.
and you don't like anchoring out that much, let's say you're because a lot of people are afraid to anchor out, just like drop anchor, because they don't want to
Really?
drag the anchor. They don't really understand it. Yeah, there's a lot of people like that.
Oh.
Older couples, they might not want to.
Ooh.
They just might not want to do that. So they might want to go into a guest dock or something like that. But you're typically going to pay, anywhere from $15 to $30 a foot per night for that.
Wait, really?
For that guest dock? Yeah, I mean, it can be expensive. So, yeah, it's
oh my God,
it's not cheap.
I can almost see why you'd want to switch to an RV.
Well, yeah, but RVs have their own problems too. You
I know.
You can't just park an RV wherever you want either. So,
well, within reason.
That's one thing. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing Rachel and I have been looking at is a trailer versus an RV, because, if you had a 30, 35 foot RV and then we're towing a vehicle behind it,
yeah,
you're still up to close to 40 feet, and there's very few pull through spots that are going to be that long if you're going to stay at a campground or an RV park. So
that's true.
Well, RV parks should have them, but not campgrounds. So,
and also, I know that they sell little motors you can attach to the RV to like haul it around, to like get it moved around.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, like jack it up and move it around?
Yeah, you just like attach it where the hitch goes, and then it'll move the RV. But obviously, that also is like a big weight in itself.
Oh my God, it would have to be super robust, because those RVs are not light. So
it depends.
Yeah,
like I could
they're
my
big.
little RV, my little camper, I could move around. I could just pick it up and move it around.
Well, a camper trailer is different. Those
Yeah.
are designed to be lighter. A few thousand pounds typically.
Yeah.
But a real like big RV. I mean.
Oh well, I meant
I
like
don't
the
know- I don't know
campers
what they weigh.
basically.
Yeah, camper I could see. You're totally right. I could
Yeah.
definitely see that. But yeah, no, I'm talking about like a full size gas RV. And if you had a diesel RV, typically it's a diesel pusher, they call them. The diesel
Yeah.
engine's in the back. So I can't imagine what the back end of that RV weighs. It's got to be 6,000-7,000 pounds just for the rear end.
True.
So.
Speaking
anyway.
of RVs, have you been looking online at some of these forums? Because one of the things I learned is that one of the reasons these RVs drop in value so quickly is because they're so badly made.
Yeah, well, that's why you don't buy a new one. You buy one that's 2 or 3 years old, so somebody with a warranty had everything fixed.
Yeah.
And they sucked up the depreciation as well. So not only do you not get the depreciation, but somebody else fixed all the problems. You still have to check it out though, because it's either that or they got an RV and they got frustrated by the problems, and then it sat for like a year or two because they couldn't bring themselves to sell it.
Yeah.
And then they sold it without fixing anything. So but that's the same thing as like a new house, except it's worth as an RV. But
True.
a new house is typically, unless you had like a really high-end builder, even then, I mean, you're going to have problems when you buy that house. There's going to be issues, and houses have warranties on them when you first buy them, if you buy them brand new.
Oh wait, they do?
And you can get a warranty on we have a warranty on this house, actually. You can buy a home warranty on an older house too. Our house was built in 1978, and we
Yeah.
have a warranty on it. It covers, like, if our air conditioning breaks this summer, we
Yeah.
have a deductible, but it's covered. It's covered if that happens. So,
Wow.
yeah, totally. And the home warranty, it's like buying renter's insurance.
Yeah.
Like you can have, I don't know if you have renter's insurance where you're at now, but you
No.
could probably get renter's insurance on your place for like $200 a year.
Oh.
And it covers all your stuff. Like if your neighbor upstairs
Yeah.
overfills their tub and floods your apartment, you'd be covered.
Ah.
So it's good to do that.
Maybe
But
I will do
a
that.
home warranty for our place only cost, God, what was it, like $450 a year or something like that? So
Wow, that's not bad.
yeah, it's not bad at all, to be honest.
Wow.
So,
Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I've been spotting interesting rigs around town, but it makes me wonder if that's the reason why old VW camper vans cost so much money. Like
Yeah?
even super old ones, because I know that they were really well built when they started. I mean, obviously you still have to
Mhm.
own a Volkswagen, depending on how you feel about that. I mean, I'm fine
Sure.
with that, but not everyone is. Oh.
I mean, I
Oh, go ahead.
don't really care what the thing is, what the manufacturer is, as long as it's in decent shape. So it's like Airstream. Man, Airstream's really
Yeah.
pissing me off, because
Oh.
they're so they're so iconic.
Yeah.
And because of that, their prices are so overinflated. Like
Yeah.
an Airstream camper, a new one, I mean, the same camper that's not an Airstream is half the price.
Yeah.
If not a quarter of the price. And
Yeah.
don't even think about the Airstream vans, like the camper vans. They start at like 80 grand.
Oh, I know.
So it's just totally insane. Yeah, I don't understand it.
Unless you're getting
if you're gonna
something
pay-
super old.
Well, even then, if it's in good shape, it's held
True.
its value because it's an Airstream, you know. So
Oh wait, no, I'm
in
actually
our
thinking Winnebago. Actually, that's what I was thinking of.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, those I mean, if you're willing to do the work, because those have probably all the hoses need to be replaced internally, all the electrical probably needs to be replaced, all the, all kinds of stuff. You really got to watch it when you're getting a full size RV that's more than like 20 years old.
Oh, I know. Which is, although
Yeah.
it's amazing how many people buy these RVs and then they start fixing them and then they realize that they don't really like camping and then they sell them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's normally what happens. So especially with toys,
Yeah.
you want to buy a boat, you want to buy jet skis, stuff like that.
Yeah.
People buy them because they're kind of impulse buys, and then they're like, shit,
Yeah.
I'm only using this 1 week out of the year.
Well, it's like God, the other day I was biking around and I don't even know what you'd call them. Like I want to call it an expedition vehicle, but it was much larger. It had 6 wheels and it was a Montana plates and it was just like parked there and I'm like, "My God, like where would you even take that?"
I know.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's very difficult for me to describe, but this thing was massive. It was almost like a box truck size, like like when a giant box truck from U-Haul or something. That's how big it was.
Yeah. Jeez, that is enormous.
Although I have to admit, people have taken U-Hauls, not necessarily that big, but smaller U-Haul moving vans and stuff, like the smaller box trucks, and they turned them into stealth RVs. I don't even know what the point of stealth camping is, but whatever. It seems to be a thing people do.
I think it's because you can set up in places where you wouldn't normally be able to set up. Like you could park a U-Haul on the street out here, but if you park a camper out there for too long, somebody's going to say something.
Yeah.
Because
most of this. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I've heard of people talking about that with like parking lots. Like RVers like to hang out in when they just are transiting somewhere and they don't want to find an RV park, or maybe there's nothing in the area.
Yeah.
Maybe they just don't want to pay for it. They'll set up in like a department store parking lot or something like that, but they won't put their slide outs out and they won't put their awning out and stuff like that, because that says a little bit more permanence and just lets somebody know that somebody's actually sleeping in there, because it's not it's not typically legal to sleep in a parking lot, whether you're in your car or in an RV. There's no difference as far as the law goes. But there are some places, and keep this in mind if you get your camper trailer out and you're moving around.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about the particulars, or as far as I know, they're still doing this, because one of the RV groups that I follow, they talk about it all the time, because people have had a hard time. The liveaboards, they've had a hard time finding places to stay when everything closed down.
Yeah.
But Walmart, as much as I hate Walmart and I never go there,
yeah,
their official policy is you can park overnight in your RV in a Walmart parking lot.
Yeah.
And they don't want you to overstay your welcome. I mean, don't stay there for a week, but if you got to stay there for the night, they're not going to say anything. You don't even have to go in and tell them. It's okay to stay there. So I'm sure if people have been out and about, they've seen fleets of RVs at Walmarts because other places were closed, especially in places where there's more of an RV community, probably down south in Florida, stuff like that.
Interesting. I wonder about that. I haven't been to obviously haven't been to a Walmart in a while.
Yeah, me either. So I don't even really go buy one anymore. There's not one on like custom route or typical routes that I do. And George, who's watching our stream, says it really helps if you stencil a fake company name on it too.
Oh my God! Just like you were running a like an FBI sting.
Yeah. Hey, I've got this probably, I think it's 3 foot long by probably 12 or 15 inches high, magnetic kind of a magnetic stick-on for DigTech for my company, because I had to have that. I had to have the name of my company on the side of my truck for a project.
Yeah.
And so I bought that from some website, probably some Cafe Press or something like that. Or where did I get that? What's the one everybody gets their business cards from?
There's the Microsoft one. I always forget what that one's called.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. Anyway,
but they always give good deals.
Yeah. So anyway, so I have that, and I still use it when I go on some projects, but I could easily affix that to the side. Of course, it wouldn't fit on most RVs because they're not metal on the outside. They're fiberglass. So I'd have to find some place where I could actually put it. Oh, and I see you put the link in here for advice on Walmart overnight camping.
Vistaprint.
Yeah.
Bah.
Yeah, Vistaprint. That's right.
How can I forget that?
So I know. I've used it all the time. So.
You know what's interesting?
Anyway.
Obviously I'm getting ready to go out, well, tomorrow.
Yeah.
And one of the things I did is instead of going to the grocery store. I mean, I still have to go to the grocery store later because there were a few things that there were exactly two things that they couldn't get for me.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, it saves so much time and it's so handy and it costs relatively little money. Like no matter how many bags you get, it's still $6.95 plus tip. So I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, I'm never gonna go into a grocery store ever again. Makes me wonder how many people are not gonna bother going to a grocery store again.
I'll tell you what, I don't want to. Every time we browse, I get more stuff than I wanted. But if I just get what I need online, then they just deliver it right to me, and I don't end up with impulse purchases. So.
And more importantly, I can check to see if I've actually got something or don't. Whereas when I'm at the store, I'm like, do I have it or do I not? And then I usually end up not getting it.
That's an even better point. I didn't even think about that. That's a really good point. I wonder how, because a lot of things I feel like at the grocery store are in the realm of impulse buys. They put them on end caps, they put them near registers because nobody's going to buy this stuff just because they want to. Like some of the bakery items and like a bag of potato chips, things like that. I mean, I'll think about buying a bag of potato chips if we're going to have like a party or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But otherwise a bag of potato chips really is going to be an impulse buy. Like I'm not going to be scrolling through and add that to my cart and then go look at it and go, yeah, I'm definitely going to get that. But if I'm just walking through the grocery store, I'm going to pull it off and sure. Yeah. Why not throw that in the cart? So I wonder how some of those retailers are going to deal with that.
Probably the same way Amazon deals
standpoint.
with it because people buy all sorts of crap they don't want from it. They didn't necessarily need from Amazon.
Yeah, that's true. They've got really good placement on their pages, and hey, this is just everybody that bought this also bought this. What do you think about that? And I'm like, yeah, that's how I got these. So,
oh god,
can you see this at all?
Oh, and I can see it now.
Yeah, it's four tripod mount tops for the GoPro camera. Because we only had one of them.
Oh wow, you got a pack.
It was like $6 on Amazon.
Because I bought I had to buy them individually, but then I got the metal ones or the aluminum ones.
Yeah, these are not high quality. This was like $7 for all four of them. But I just needed something. I needed something real fast that was going to work, and I'm pretty sure these are plastic.
Yeah.
So it's in a pinch, it's going to work for us because we usually we have a couple handheld mounts, but we've only got one of these things, and well, actually we have three handheld mounts. One of them has that built in because it's like the floaty one, that orange floaty one, and it's got it built in. But the other two, we only have one of these things, so we need two of them so we can both have a camera at the same time.
You know what you're talking about grocery stores putting stuff on the end caps makes me think of is that this whole coronavirus thing has been the perfect example of the way that a lot of more dishonest people are using every sales technique they can think of to basically steer people in a direction they want. Like for instance, one of those things. I was talking with a neighbor about this last night, and the thing is, a lot of these radio hosts keep saying, "You have a 99%, survival rate from coronavirus, and only 650, thousand people died from this or that last year." And the conclusion is that only like less than 1 million people are going to die from this, but basically they say just enough not to be able to get sued, but because if you because like I said last week, 1% of the population is like 3 million people dead.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, and if they said, well, 1 million people died, like 3 million people are going to die from this, and only 650 million people died from, or 650,000 died from whatever, like lung cancer or something, or heart disease, then, you're going to be like, wow, this is a lot worse. But by simply divorcing the two and by simply stating the two in different ways, it shows, they can get their fake point across without actually perjuring themselves.
Well, and I don't know what the agenda is there. Like, why? Sure, even if that's the goal, what's the agenda? What's the end game for these deniers? For people who are saying it's not that bad, are they? What?
Oh, well, it's
what is the outcome?
The interesting part is that I was reading an article in the Atlantic today about that, and their point of view is that since a lot of these deniers are basically, they're the sort of people who aren't going to be affected by this, and the sort of people who are going to be affected by this, the low-wage workers, people of color, et cetera, are just the sort of people that these deniers want to be infected and die, basically. I mean, that was the whole, it was very scholarly and took a lot of words to get to it, but basically, if you boil it right down to it, It's like if a bunch of people of color die, then then they'll have their their Republican hegemony forever.
Yeah, totally.
And it's
I
interesting because
guess.
I've been reading all sorts of interesting things. Like for instance, did you know that absolutely no one has died of the coronavirus at all?
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that
Yeah, that's interesting news.
yeah, and that doctors and nurses are all part of mainstream media now, and that they're all just like trying to pretend that all these people died when they probably just died of something else.
Great. I'll tell my brother-in-law that, who's working at Mount Sinai in Manhattan.
I know.
So
Oh, well, they're the
yeah,
biggest liars of all because they're not letting anyone to New York, so no one can see that no one's dying.
yeah, yeah. Clearly, clearly. So
Oh my God!
yeah, it's
Speaking of
crazy.
deniers, by the way, I
Hmm.
saw you renewed your Costco thing, and you posted something about people who are not renewing their Costco. I was wondering, what'd you hear about that?
Dude, I saw a news report that day about Costco. Costco put out, as we're recording this on May 10th, Costco put out like a little over a week ago that they made it mandatory for anyone coming into their stores to wear a mask and or some sort of face covering. It doesn't have
Yeah,
to be like an N95. It just has to be a face covering, right?
yeah,
So they said that, and they said they were going to be enforcing it. Like, it has to cover your mouth
yeah,
and your nose. I've seen so many people. Like, I had to go. Where was I at? I was out. We were out somewhere. I was going to talk about this, but we were out somewhere a few days ago,
yeah.
and I saw people with like that kind of cheap mask that was going around, but they had either their nose uncovered, so it was like down here, or they had their whole face uncovered. It was just like over their chin, and I'm like, what are you actually doing right now? Like, are you just satisfying the mask on your face requirement, even though it's not
Yes,
even a requirement anymore?
of course.
Um, anyway, so anyway, Costco comes out with this, and I saw this news report how a bunch of people were taking to Twitter and tagging Costco and saying, "Oh, this fascist stuff. I'm not gonna renew my membership. I'm gonna go to Sam's Club instead, or something like that." And coincidentally, like the day before, I had just renewed our membership online because it's
Yeah,
been expired for like a month and a half, and I keep forgetting it.
yeah,
It's been expired since the last time we made an order, and
yeah.
so I went and renewed it, and then I just had to post and tag Costco and be like, listen, because I had also seen
Yeah.
something on Facebook about shopping carts too, and I'm one of those people that always puts their shopping cart away. And
Yeah.
in order to even help myself out with that, I always try to park near a cart corral because I don't want to go halfway across the parking lot to deliver my cart anyway. So I'll always try to find a parking spot near a shopping cart corral,
Yeah.
and also, not only do I return it, but I always pull a cart from the corral just so they don't have to take one more cart up to the entrance, right? I always pull one from there.
Yeah.
Or if somebody's left one in the parking lot, I'll grab that one. I almost never have to get one from the actual store because they're always in the parking lot.
What?
And I saw this whole thing about how shopping cart is the one way to tell whether or not somebody cares about society, because it's one of those things that's really for the better good of everyone, and that it's for the better good
Yeah.
of everyone to actually put your cart away rather than leaving it as a danger where it can blow into somebody else's car or somebody can hit it or something like that.
Yeah.
But there's also no regulation, so it's something that you do out of the goodness of your heart for society that nobody is going to A, praise you for, or
Yeah.
B, get in trouble for. So it's really just something you do to be a good person, and it's the great equalizer. And I saw that right before I saw the Costco report, so I had to put something on Twitter and be like, listen, these people who are not renewing their Costco memberships, they're no big loss because they're also the ones that leave their carts in the parking lot.
Well, they're also probably the ones who also treat employees like human beings and don't like stand in front of the front of the free sample
Oh my God.
trays and basically take everything.
Man, I'll tell you what, the minute a good sample is like, you can tell the good samples, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The minute like a new tray excuse me,
Uh-oh.
the minute a new tray is coming out,
Yeah.
you get people just hovering around it.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Allergies.
No, I don't have allergies. I just suck my coffee down the wrong way.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah. So that's a fun thing.
Oh my.
Hey,
God. Yeah.
I should mention real quick too. We just got done right before I started this. We just got done recording the 190th episode of the CRM Archaeology podcast, and our
Oh,
guest was
wow.
Tom King.
Oh yeah.
And it's the third time Tom King's been on the show, and the first one was almost 8 years ago, and in fact, it was a little over 8 years ago, I think. And he
Yeah.
he was talking about the new proposed changes to the National Environmental Policy Act that he's been talking a lot about online. So it was good to talk to Tom about that. A lot of good points made. That episode, if you're listening to this in real time, that episode will be out May 20th. So that's in a week and a half from now.
Oh God, how many hosts were on there? Because I saw you were asking if anyone else was going to be on.
Yeah, I think people just had some busy things to do today.
Well, I mean, it is Mother's Day.
It is Mother's Day. You're right, but it was. But at least one of them that didn't show up doesn't have any children, so there's that. But anyway, it was Bill White and Heather that joined us. So
oh really? Oh good. These are a few people.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was just the right amount, honestly. 3 of us plus a guest. That's if you get too many, then you don't get the other co-host don't get a chance to really respond or anything. So yeah, and Amy just joined us, and she says, "Looks like I missed most of the show."
Yeah, well, it depends.
Amy, you can always rewatch this on Facebook shortly after it's done, right
true.
here, and you can also watch it on Richie's YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, happy archaeology fun time.
Yeah, so either place.
Yeah, it's been interesting, like seeing my my subscriber account go up, which is very thankful-ish.
Is it doing well?
Yeah, I don't know. Part of the problem is that since I mean, obviously I recorded all this stuff like months ago, and all the fun stuff I want to record, I can't do until this whole lockdown's lifted, unless I felt like driving, halfway across the strait just to like make 3 videos, and I'm like, yeah, do I really want to? I mean, I actually thought about it, especially since it's like tomorrow. I was normally when I go out and drive to a project, I can record stuff on the way there and on the way back, but but thankfully the company I'm working for is giving me the chance to drive out a work truck, which means I can get paid drive time. So but obviously I can't I can't take this truck and suddenly I can't stop at some place to take a 20 or 40 mile detour to take videos. Yeah.
What about when you get to the project area? Will you be able to take the truck after hours and maybe go places and see some stuff and record?
We'll see. I mean, there's actually where I'm going. There's actually stuff nearby, but it's like Nevada nearby.
Yeah. It's not walkable typically.
Yes. I mean, there's stuff. There's sort of, kind of stuff in town, but not really enough for a video. And much more importantly, they're usually on someone's property, so I don't want to be crawling around someone's property. I mean, some of these other exploration videos do that, but I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff around where you're going. So we won't mention it now because it's an ongoing project. But it's I mean, that part of Nevada too is really cool.
Oh my God. Well, I mean,
Anyway.
Oh God, I guess Virgin Valley wasn't near there, but all basically far northern Nevada is always interesting in general. Although I don't know if that's far northern, that's considered up north enough, but whatever.
Right. Well, I will say, Amy, who joined us, said she had some Mother's Day activities, which is probably keeping down our view count.
Oh, of course.
Because she's a mother. So, happy Mother's Day, Amy.
Yeah. Happy Mother's Day
to all the mothers out there that might be listening to this or listening to the replay. So,
oh my God, now that I'm looking through my notes, there's one thing I had to mention because we're talking about that Facebook thread about WildNote, but one of the first responses was from someone who said, don't use these online apps or these electronic digital apps because information can always disappear. It'll eat data and blah blah. And I'm like, how come archaeologists literally we got all these degrees and we go to school for this long and yet we're literally the only people dumb enough to think that if you put information online that it can still disappear? Because if that were true, so many people would be so much happier, especially especially politicians.
I know, and the thing that really gets me about that kind of comment too is that first off, yes, it can disappear. It can get corrupted. It can get deleted. Somebody can actually do that accidentally. They can just delete everything.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things can happen. But then I remember 3 specific circumstances from my own CRM art career, and there's many more. These are just 3 examples of the same thing.
Yeah.
But I have seen entire clipboards go down mine shafts.
Oh yeah.
When when the clipboard was set on the edge of the waste rock pile, and then the wind just blew it into the mine shaft. I've seen that. I saw that down near Tonopah, Nevada. I've seen. I remember on a project out near Battle Mountain, Nevada.
Yeah.
All these things happen in Nevada, by the way, but I've seen stuff else other places, but my examples all come from Nevada for some reason.
Yeah.
But out near Battle Mountain, Nevada, we were on an excavation, and somebody had their foldable forestry supply clipboard, and it was sitting out on a bucket, and they had turned around to, I don't know, look at something in their unit because they were writing up their notes, and they had, like I do, I had all my fresh paperwork on the right-hand side and all my filled-out paperwork on the left-hand side. Yeah. And a dust devil came over just like suddenly out of nowhere, and there was just a paperwork tornado. We never did get all of it back. I mean, some of it was just lost forever. And then there was, of course, how many times have we seen clipboards left on the hood or tailgate of a truck, and the truck just pulls away, and then the clipboard's on the highway somewhere?
Oh, of course.
You know,
I mean, I've seen someone drive off with a Trimble on the on the back of the truck, like, you know, like the particular truck in question had those toolboxes, and we were like screaming at this person as they were driving down the road. Thankfully, it fell off. Thankfully, it did finally fall off near a gate, so it didn't get too hurt. But more importantly, I was gonna say, speaking of like losing paperwork, we've all seen Write in the Reins where someone wrote in pencil and like the writing is basically, you can't read it. It's like completely smudged out. It's like, well, that's almost the same thing as like information disappeared. They may as well not written it.
Well, that's my biggest problem too. I'm not one of those lefties that writes with their hand all bent around. I write like normal.
Yeah, same here.
But because of that, I drag across the page. And when I used to write in pencil, because you couldn't write in like pen on a writing rain.
Yeah.
But when I used to write in pencil, I mean, it would just drag across the page and then get it all scuffed up. But on top of that, I'm a lefty and my handwriting is atrocious. So this is why I went to digital archaeology 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The minute the iPad came out, I'm like, great, a way for people to read my writing.
Well, more importantly, like if you're using something like OneNote or Google Notes or whatever the Apple equivalent is, it backs it all up anyway.
Yeah, totally.
It's like backed up in multiple places.
That's right. So, I don't know. It's the other circumstance I can think of too, because I remember this is actually an example from, I don't know, the Carolinas. I can't remember where, but it was a long time ago, back in my early days of my CRM career. Yeah. I had this guy who was a crew chief who was just totally disorganized. And we usually had, I think on this one project, the one I'm thinking of, he basically had a truck his own, and then the crew had another truck, because we were staying out near the project, but we were only a couple hours from the office. So he wasn't out there the whole time as the field director. He would come out every other day or so. Yeah. And then like gather up our paperwork and stuff. And he had a bunch of maps and just all kinds of stuff in the back of his truck, but he had them all just thrown in the back seat of the truck. And I remember he was going down the highway one time. We were following him, and he had he opened his rear windows because he didn't like air conditioning, and all his paperwork flew out the window. Like maybe not all of it, but a lot of it flew out the window because it was just sucked out the window when he opened the windows going down the interstate. Wow. I'm like, you idiot. Yeah, we never got any of that stuff back. So, it was a nightmare. But anyway, that stuff happens. It can happen digitally, and it can happen in real life. And Amy here, who's says she's doing some work in the Lassen, which is Northern California, kind of a volcanic area. Yeah, super cool area. Ooh. But she says she drove off with her cell phone in the back bumper of the work truck. I've seen that more than a few times. Wow. Didn't notice until about 2 miles. She said luckily it fell in the space between the bumper and the truck.
Wow. Oh my God.
So, yeah.
Oh my God.
Lots of stuff been left on the back end bumper of a truck.
Speaking. Oh wait, where did I want to go? There are a few other things I wanted to talk about. You know what was interesting? I mean, not to keep going back to the coronavirus, but I think this whole thing shows that people have terrible, terrible, terrible critical thinking and evaluation skills. Like, and the reason why I thought about this is because, I signed up for healthcare during the Nevada's extended open enrollment period for healthcare. But guess how many people in the state also took advantage of that over the whole 2 months that it was open again?
How many?
1,900.
That's it?
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I'm like 1,900 extra people, and that a lot of people lost their health care because they don't have it through their employer
Oh
anymore
yeah.
and they got laid off.
Yeah, totally.
It's like, oh my God. It just makes me
Wow.
think of all the whole pseudoscience thing. I forgot where I heard that. I think I might have been listening to NPR or maybe
Mm-hmm.
something. But it was like I was totally shocked by that.
Yeah, that is totally insane.
Yeah.
You'd think more people would take advantage of that,
In fact,
but
God, it was made me think because I was also listening to the Jordan Harbinger show this week, and he was talking about how all these weird pseudoscience narratives come about, and he was pointing the example of North Korea where they're officially atheists there, but
mm-hmm.
but they still believe in magic and stuff like that, and how you have cult members come out of cults, but then they start believing in some really strange thing, and it's because you know, we know that critical thinking is basically not holding strong belief in something but evaluating something on the evidence. But for a lot of other
Right.
people, they just can't get rid of that framework. If they can't believe in it, then it's not something they want to hear about. Like they literally only want to hear
Right.
about stuff they can believe in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's true. That's true. That's how this stuff comes about, though. You know.
Oh, and
So.
one other thing I read about that you might be interested in.
Mm,
New York Times. They had one of their writers was messing around with some software that a lot of employers have started using now. And basically,
mm-hmm.
what it does, you install it on your computer, or maybe it's installed on your work computer, and you take it home with you. And basically, it tracks your usage of that computer throughout the day.
Yeah, that kind of stuff's been around for a while, but
Oh,
it's
I know.
probably more in use now that people are working from home.
But the thing is that his reports were coming out terrible because he's a reporter, and therefore he has to be on the phone a lot of the time. And so
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that and other stuff doesn't get accounted for. So by the end of it, he was trying to like pretend to like be working because it also not only does it track what apps you're using and whether you're typing on the keyboard, but it also takes photos of you.
Right.
So he was
Right.
like, he was talking on the phone, while pretending to type and stuff, all sorts of crazy stuff like that. And and some of the commenters were talking about, is that better? Is tracking software better than maybe something like a results-only work environment? Which I don't know if that's like an official term, but it's something a lot of people in the comments of this article are bringing up, where it's less like, if you get your work done, does it really matter? And it was the work you were assigned, and it's the work that you were normally expected to do. Then does it really matter, how much time on task you spent?
Right. I think that's exactly right. That's how I've always tried to operate with my business. Is really more of a task-oriented work
Yeah.
rather than hours-oriented work. Right.
Yeah.
It's now. I mean, some things kind of have to be hours-oriented because you just get as much done as you can in that period of time. Like if
Yeah.
you're working in a warehouse or something like that, where the work never ends. I mean, or like in a post office warehouse or something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
or even like a restaurant or drive-through or something. I mean, in those places, in those environments, you kind of just have to work the hours. You just have to be there. But
Yeah.
in other places where you can do results-oriented work, that's how high-end salary people do it all the time. You're paid $100,000 a year to be an executive somewhere. Nobody's tracking your time, whether you're coming in and out. Nobody knows where you're doing your work or cares where you're doing your work, as long as you're getting your work done and you're bringing your work in. I think a good example of that would be like a salesperson, right?
Yeah.
Especially for say software or something intangible like that, where they're not, they don't have like physical products they're selling, or maybe they are selling physical products. I don't know, but they're doing the sales process in an intangible way. I mean, they're judged basically on how much sales they bring in for the
Yeah.
year. They have sales quotas, not time quotas. And if you're a crappy salesperson and it takes you 3 times as long to make those sales than in the workday than somebody else, well, that's your problem. And if you want to work fewer hours, you'll get better at it. So,
Well, of course. Well, somewhat.
Well, you'll either get better at it or you'll quit, and you'll just be like, I don't want to work 120 hours a week, to make the same amount of money as this guy who's working 40 hours a week.
True.
So, but I think that's always been where it's at. I wish we could do that kind of thing in archaeology, and I do. The times where I've paid for people to basically do work for me, not
Yeah.
field work, but other stuff.
Yeah.
It usually is results oriented. It's like, hey, I need you to just get these things done. This is what I'm paying you.
Yeah.
And it's up to you to get it done in a time frame that makes that money worth it, right? So, I mean, that's basically all there is to it. Unfortunately, you can't do field work that way because you can't be like, well, here's a here's a tract of land I'd like you to go survey by yourself. Get it done before this date, and you decide how many hours you have to work. It just doesn't work that way. So we have to go out together and do those sorts of things. But
True.
a good example would be those like those surveys that you were doing for that one company, where they basically give you a list of things that has to be done.
Yeah.
And if you want to work a 12-hour day one day and a 6-hour day the next day, as long as you're getting your work done by the deadline, then that should be okay.
And I thought it was okay, but apparently it wasn't necessarily all okay. But that's another story.
Well, people just don't understand that kind of work. People think that you need to work a certain number of hours, where really what they're paying for is the value of the work that you're getting done. And it's really hard for people to wrap their heads around that. Really hard. I would love to have a lot of small projects that are basically like, for example, if I had a small survey, I would tell you, Richie, listen, this is where it's at. This is when I need the field work done by, and I need your report if you're going to build one, or site records or whatever you're responsible for. I need them done by this date. And here's what I'm paying. You either say yes or no to that. And if you say yes, and it takes you 3 weeks to do the project, great. If it takes you a day to do the project, I don't care. This is what I'm paying you for it. It's a flat rate. Yeah. I'm not paying you by the hour. I'm not paying you anything else. I'm giving you this amount of money to get this work done. And that's how that's supposed to work. So that's how I prefer to work.
Speaking of which, are we going to be able to look for keys in Elko at any point this year?
It's currently scheduled for Friday, June 12th. That's just for the survey. So we'll see. I think that's just going to be a small affair, but we might be doing the larger survey. And I asked her about that, but there's no time frame on that yet. Everything's been pushed back because of the virus. So,
of course.
They're just starting to go back to work at the mine consistently. May 18th. So
wow.
They've had basically a skeleton crew working up there. I think they're still doing work like extraction, but really limited people. And most of the people in the offices are not working. They're working from home. And our contact has been going out once a week just because she has to from a regulatory standpoint. But yeah, we might be able to get out there. I'll certainly need you on the larger survey if we end up doing that. So hopefully that goes down, but no details on it yet. I think we're going to know something by the end of this month, because we're going to know whether or not the world really is going back to normal or not. Yeah. And
well, it might go back to normal, but it also might be, a lot of death.
Well, I know. So those two things are going to be hand in hand for a little while.
I also love the fact that people keep saying that it's either restart the economy or a lot of people are going to die from economic causes. But it's like, everyone, all the economists keep saying it's basically two ends to the same. It's basically two ways to the same end.
Yeah, I know.
Well, whatever. I think the most interesting thing is that my mom is. I don't know if she's still going to be, but she was very much a Trump supporter, and she's one of those seniors who, might be slightly rethinking her point of view.
Yeah.
I mean, she's still unlike the president. She is definitely still wearing a mask and washing her hands and doing everything she can, in spite of what everyone tells her about this being fake.
Well, we might not have to worry about the election if both Trump and Pence come down with the virus. They're both old and. Actually, Pence looks like he's relatively in shape, but Trump is definitely not. No. So I don't know. I don't know what their survivability is if they would get it. But two of their staffers, one on each team, has the COVID-19. So yeah.
Not that I'm happy, but it's just like like I feel like
I know.
I just don't understand why they couldn't wear a mask. Everyone else is.
Yeah, it's part of that macho, really.
All right. So. What else was there? Was there anything else? I think I went through everything I could.
Yeah, I think we need to start wrapping it up. I got to get off and finish up some trailer maintenance on my boat trailer. Yeah. So we can possibly go get that boat next weekend. We got to pick it up from California and bring it back to Nevada. I think next weekend's going to be a good time to do it.
Oh, interesting. You get it recertified to go into Lake Tahoe, or are you going to do something else with it?
Yeah, no. When Lake Tahoe opens back up, we got to get the watercraft inspection done on it, and probably get the Tahoe only sticker back on it, so we don't have to do it all the time. And then because we're keeping it just down the hill from Lake Tahoe, so it's going to be good to do that. Although I would like the option to take it out to other lakes. it's such a pain in the ass because you got to get those inspections all the time.
Interesting. So is Lake Tahoe more fun than just like riding around the bay, or the Delta?
Lake Tahoe's a lot more fun because the Delta's dirty. The Delta is like, you can't even see 2 feet into the water, a foot into the water. And Lake Tahoe, while colder, it's so nice to just anchor out in a cove on Lake Tahoe and just jump in the water. And even though it's cold, I mean, even in the deadest, in the hottest part of summertime, the water's not that warm. And but you get used to it, and it's just, I don't know, it's just nice. It's peaceful up there, even with all the people. It's nice to camp up there on the boat too, to spend the night because the lake really calms down. There's nobody out. It's just a really good time. So.
Before I forget, are you going to start? I mean, were you still thinking about doing that podcast about Lake Tahoe or not?
Yeah, it's really going to depend on our summer schedule and what happens there, and honestly, the usage of the boat, because this nonprofit, I think I've talked about them before. This nonprofit called Clean Up the Lake. You can find them online. They're doing a scuba diving expedition around the entire lake. Where they're picking up trash basically, and they're using WildNote to record everything. And I've been helping them get all the forms together, but they might actually buy my boat. So,
really?
They need a boat. Yeah. I told them they could use it, but I was like, listen, we kind of want to sell it because we're either going to look at an RV or possibly a different boat. And, so they might actually use some of their funds to buy it, but I don't know how that's going to work because the project has been pushed to 2021 and they're just doing a 2-week pilot study on 6 miles of the lake at the end of August, the last 2 weeks of August. So I'll be out there for that, probably driving the boat for them and, for the divers, and then helping them out with WildNote at the same time. So, but we'll see if we keep the boat all summer, then I don't know what we're going to do. Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Finally. Sorry, I was looking for an article, but they're all like, you have to pay for them. I'm like, no.
For Clean Up the Lake?
Yeah.
Oh, you should be able to find their website. I can't remember what it's called.
Really?
Clean Up the Lake. Yeah, Clean Up the Lake, Lake Tahoe. I know they have a website with some information on it.
Shoot.
So.
Well.
Yeah.
Well, there is one called Clean Tahoe Program, or cleantahoe.org. I don't feel like.
Oh no, you found the right article. 72 mile underwater cleanup. That's definitely the article.
Oh, cool.
But they should have a website somewhere. So they have a good Instagram feed too. There's called Clean Up the Plastic or something like that. That's like the overarching organization, and then Clean Up the Lake is kind of what developed out of that specifically for Lake Tahoe.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
interesting.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really cool project. So.
Wow. Cool. All right.
Well, speaking of, let's call it so I can go do some work. And
all right.
We got to navigate that nastiness that's Lowe's Home Improvement. There's always so many people there. Luckily, most of them are wearing masks, but I got to get a new hacksaw blade. So.
Oh wait, really? Interesting.
Yeah, the old bolts that hold the boards on that I'm replacing on the trailer. Are completely rusted, and I ruined the last hacksaw blade I had on Friday, replacing one side. Just totally flattened it. So.
Wow.
So I got to buy a new blade and cut the remaining 4 bolts off. So.
Interesting. Sounds like it's time to upgrade to a different tool.
I know. Really, what I need is a grinder or something that I could just grind them off. But I don't use something like that consistently enough to spend $150 on it. So I'm just gonna buy a $4 hacksaw blade and call it good.
All right. So, well, in that case,
all right, man.
Yeah. All right. So another podcast comes to an end, and don't forget to check us out on Happy Archaeology Fun Time on YouTube, and I've also got a Facebook page and a web page.
Yeah, and if you're watching this on Facebook for the APN, then Archaeology Podcast Network on Facebook I said that totally backwards, but facebook.com/archpodnet, ARCHPODNET.
And new people
if you're
are
listening
liking...
to the...
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I would just say if you're listening to the audio of this on the Archaeology Show, thank you for that.
Yeah.
We're still looking for a producer that can bring us in some guests, and we can keep recording. But in the meantime, I'm just going to keep recording these and putting them up on the Archaeology Show because I like to get the audio out there.
Yeah.
And but you can also watch these live at the sources Richie had, but also on Facebook. So just go over there and like one of those pages, and you'll know when we go live.
And I was also going to say that seems like new people are liking the Archaeology Podcast Network Facebook page every day.
That's right. Yeah, we're getting a lot more likes every week. I think it's 20, 30, 40 likes a week sometimes, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, check that out. And Richie, so you're going to be in the field, so we're not going to be live next Sunday.
No. But the week after, yes.
The week after. Okay.
Yeah.
So the week after we will be live. So it'll be 2 weeks. We're going to take a little break here. I don't know. Maybe if you have some decent internet, we'll still be able to do it. But
we'll see. I mean, I've never tried the internet out from this. I'm going to stay at a motel I've never stayed at before, so I can't really, comment on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably not going to be great. So we probably just take the week off, especially since I think we're going to be in California for the entire weekend. So
cool.
That'll probably work out. So, all right. Well, thanks everybody for joining, and we will see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Amy.
All right. See ya.